everyone. Welcome to the Tree Plants Show, where we talk about random stuff that we find interesting on the internet. I'm your host, Ashley, and these are my two guests, Alea, who's also known as AC, and Rebecca. And today, we're going to be talking about the academic pressure that students are facing today. Now, some of you might be wondering, what is academic pressure, and why are students affected by it? Well, academic pressure is the stress that students face when trying to achieve high scores for their academic reports. This academic stress can usually be caused by many sources, such as the students' parents, their teachers, or even amongst themselves. Gosh, a student's life must be hard, isn't it? Not only that, many students are also trying to compete to get into the top universities such as Harvard or Oxford. Now, my dear audience, you're probably wondering why we're talking about this. Well, it's because students are affected by this academic stress. Now, let's hear what our guests have to say today about this topic.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca, and I believe that academic pressure can be beneficial to students. This is because it can act as a form of motivation, and then we get enhanced focus and productivity, as well as better preparation for professional life and just life in general. And we also get better improved memory. And academic pressure does not always lead to negative consequences, but it can act as like a push factor.
AC?
I am AC, and I believe that academic pressure is not beneficial for students. This is due to there being evidence of higher rates of mental illness among students experiencing academic pressure. There's also a higher encouragement for cheating among students, as well as students with outside sources. And students also start experiencing bad eating habits while under stress, therefore leading to bad health consequences.
So, Rebecca, why do you think academic stress helps the students to focus better?
Well, academic pressure acts as a double-edged sword, right? So it can serve as a powerful, productive motivator when it stems from moderate, manageable expectations. But it can also drive students to step out of their comfort zone and improve time management and boost performance. And the key aspects of academic pressure that contribute to this are the Goldilocks zone, which is basically moderate pressure often pushes students to achieve their best, acting as a facilitating stress that increases focus and effort. This can be seen when we have students writing examinations. So because of this moderate pressure that they are under to perform well, they can put more effort into their studies. Therefore, they will achieve better grades or grades that are better than what they thought when they do in fact.
As much as I would like to agree with your statement, even though academic pressure should encourage students to perform better, it can actually still make them perform worse, at least morally or ethically. In fact, academic cheating actually encourages cheating among student spaces. This is due to there being a feeling that you must succeed at all costs, as there's this fear of failure, whether it's from parent or teacher origins. Due to this fear of failure, this actually prompts the need for unauthorized help, whether that be an excessive use of AI tools or plagiarizing from existing documents. This therefore actually tarnishes the reputation of students, and therefore they will no longer be seen as good or trustworthy.
So, AC, tell us the negative impacts of academic stress on the students.
Well,
Tell us more about it.
Well, one of the possible negative impacts of academic stress on students is that we find that there's actually a higher rate of mental illness among students who experience academic pressure at home or at school. You see, under constant pressure, you actually start experiencing constant anxiety in a way that also makes you feel your fight or flight mode constantly activated in your brain. And that's not very due to the constant anxiety in your mind that can develop depression. It is found that students who develop depression will turn to either substance abuse or self-harm.
So, do you have any statistics for your claims?
A survey response of GCSE students that was run by students, meaning that their age range was 16 to 22, found that there was depressive symptoms between these ages of 16 to 22. They were also able to assess that self-harm was present in some shape or form below the age of 20. It's also found that students who were surveyed at age 15 and 16, if the student experienced academic pressure at the age of 15, they've actually displayed more depressive symptoms by the age of 16.
But, however, on that point, I feel like academic pressure can encourage interdependence, which is connecting with peers for support rather than working in isolation. This will therefore reduce the mental stress that you are going through as an individual because you have a group of people who can help you and support you through this stress that you're going through.
Rebecca, how do you think students should approach academic stress?
Well, I think that they should view their stressors as challenges and not threats. What I mean by this is when students perceive high expectations from either their parents or their teachers as challenges to overcome rather than threats, it boosts their academic motivation. Because mentally, when we say we have a challenge, it means it can be overcome. Versus when we have a threat, this triggers our flight or fight response, making us feel trapped and not very clearly able to think through the problem or the challenge at hand. Therefore, we cannot handle the tasks with much appreciation. They should also meet this with a positive mindset, viewing their tasks as opportunity rather than as burden.
Positive. Stop recording. Both of you have mentioned students having a fight or flight response. Now, do you think that it is more beneficial or is it more negative towards the students doing their studies?
I think it's negative.
Well, I believe that the fight or flight response can be positive because instead of seeing it in a negative sense, you can use that fight or flight, that adrenaline that is pumping through as a motivation, and it will help you study, you know?
However, it is extremely unhealthy to be experiencing this constant rush of adrenaline because when you're experiencing constant academic pressure, you're also in a constant state of fight or flight. And that's really unhealthy for your mindset.
But if you happen to use this the right way, you're not constantly in fight or flight because now you're one step ahead.
Not every student knows how to use fight or flight in the proper way.
This is when we need to bring in the community thing, you know, like when everyone gathers and you guys learn from each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that can also cause like a collective depression.
I believe not everyone will be different. Someone has to know how to use fight or flight properly. Be positive.
Wow, that is so easy to say. Just be positive. You know
Yeah.
how difficult it is to take yourself out of a negative mindset?
I feel like it's not that hard. You just need to think of it as
If
a
you are
challenge,
in
not
a
threat.
depression, you
You
know how
need to-
hard it is to take yourself out of
I
a
think it's all
depression?
in the mind, and if your mind is positive, you will be able to.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like if your mind is negative, then how are you supposed to see the positive in things?
Just don't be negative.
Well, how are you supposed to do that?
Okay, well,
Okay.
so you're saying that fight or flight stress in students can be beneficial if they can use it.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's not beneficial if they don't know how to use it. How many people do you know that has dealt with this sort of thing, whether it be positive or negative?
There have been studies that have been done that show that students in high school and university have had better outcomes with academic pressure because they learned how to set their goals. And this was done by breaking down large tasks to manage their stress levels. This therefore reduced their pressure to a manageable level that they could handle.
As I mentioned in one of my more previous points, not every student has the resources to manage stress, in which case that's why we have a higher rate of mental illness, why we have increasing number of students who express depressive symptoms. and why more students tend to have something such as bad eating habits, where you either overeat or undereat. You overeat because fast food is cheap or convenient, you undereat because you are not satisfied with your own work, and therefore, where else are you going to put that? Your dissatisfaction ends up going towards yourself. So if you're not taught this early on by family or your school, which is usually where your academic pressure comes, then it doesn't go very. Catch up, real smooth.
So, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
Well, I believe that academic pressure is associated with learners' reactions to changing external and internal demands and manifests as psychological tension arising in attempts to adapt to situations or educational challenges. I still believe that if the stress experienced is in line with an individual's adaptive capability, stress can act as a mobilizing resource, increasing achievement, motivation, and enhancing the emotional resilience as well as academic.
I'm personally still at the firm belief that academic pressure is not beneficial for students due to not only the encouragement of cheating in their fields, as cheating is really bad, it is not right morally or ethically, and encourages bad behavior in the future, but also because that due to academic stress, it causes problems in the student's health, mentally and physically, whether it be over or under eating, or creating a or creating an environment of constant anxiety, which will lead to depression.
Is this where I do my
Yes.
final?
Hi guys, my name is Rebecca. Let me just tell you a story. Once upon a time, Ashley's gonna start her bit now. Thank you.
So basically, what I've got from this so far. So basically, what our guests have said today is that the fight or flight response can be beneficial if you can control it, which can enhance the student's focus. But also, it can be negative because it can cause the student so much stress that they start developing mental illnesses or eating disorders. All sort of it. Now, as to what I think that academic stress is still negative for students, mainly because of how susceptible they become to mental illnesses, and that can also cause death in our students. Now, but the audience, you might disagree, you might agree. Let us know in the comments section down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe.
So my name is Mr. McDonald, and I own a farm, and I have cats. Thank you.
Hello, I am Mr. KFC. I own chickens and I kill them for sports.